Hi everyone. We're on our third week of Shakespeare and our actual last week of class. Hard to believe we're here. We've been through so much since we started back in the beginning, but here we are. And our play comes to an end. Now, this play is the shortest play that Shakespeare wrote. It only has 1,787 lines. Hamlet, by comparison, which is the longest play that Shakespeare wrote, has 4,000 lines. And so if you were to go see a performance of The Comedy of Errors, it's not going to be obviously anywhere near as long as Hamlet is. In fact, Hamlet is almost never performed anymore without being cut. So if some of you that might have been struggling with the language a bit might have felt like it was took you a long time to read it, but it's actually the shortest play that Shakespeare wrote. So if you read any other Shakespeare plays, they're definitely going to be longer than this one. All right, so we were reading just Act 5 this time. If you remember then, when we start it out, we're coming out of Act 4, Antipholus of Ephesus is jailed for not paying the goldsmith. Remember that big mix-up with the chain that Antipholus of Syracuse had, but the goldsmith was trying to collect from Antipholus of Ephesus, who was, right in saying he didn't have it. Why would he pay for it? And of course, it turned into a big brouhaha. And Antipholus of Ephesus got jailed for something that he didn't have. So this is where we're starting out. Antipholus of Syracuse is planning to get out of town. He's realized something weird's going on, and he's ready to get out of town. So Adriana is thinking that Antipholus is mad. Boy, my things are coming up slowly today. And Adriana wants to lock Antipholus up until he can get well. Now, it makes sense that she would think he was mad. From one time to the next that she sees him, when he comes to eat dinner, he's very nice, and then he's yelling, and then he's with the courtesan, and then he's disappearing, and, well, anyway, all the things that have gone on with these two Antipholuses, it makes sense that Adriana would think that he is mad, and thinks that if she can just lock him up, then he can get well. Now, as they're trying to do this, as the people have come with her and they're ready to lock him up, he flees into the abbey, which happens to be right there. And then when Adriana tries to follow him in, the abbess won't let her in to get him. She says that poor Adriana, the abbess is talking to her, and Adriana says, he'd been seeing someone else, seeing this courtesan that he had the ring from, and first the abbess is saying, well, did you tell him he was wrong? Did you try to bring him back? And she says, yes, I told him he was wrong. I brought it up over and over. And then the abbess says, well, you brought it up too much. He's mad because you brought it up so much. Poor Adriana couldn't win no matter what she did in that scene, because whichever way she talked, the abbess went the other way. And the abbess is not going to let her get in to get him. And then at that point, the Duke appears. The Duke is ready to take poor Aegeon to be beheaded because no one has paid his fine. And of course, Adriana at that point is going to stop the Duke and ask for help getting her husband away from the abbess. And we just really move rapidly to our conclusion from that point. This scene is not long, and it takes us through, having the big discussion. They know that they saw Antipholus go into the abbey, and yet Antipholus shows up from the other side, acting crazy. And of course, they're trying to figure out, how can he be in the abbey? How can he be out here at the same time? All this stuff happens. Finally, the one comes out of the abbey. They realize there's two brothers. And this is when then Aegeon realizes that the abbess, or actually the abbess realizes that Aegeon is her husband that she had lost at sea so many years ago. So the abbess is actually the mother of the two Antipholuses and the wife of Aegeon. And so we get it all wrapped up here in pretty rapid fashion, where we finally get everyone to figure out what's going on, and everyone is united like they should be here in this last scene. And this is, the crisis point hits always for Shakespeare in Act 3. That's where a lot of the big action went on. And then by 5, either the disorder has happened and everybody's dead, which happens in most Shakespeare tragedies, or the order has been restored and people are happy together, as happens in Shakespearean comedies. So by the end of the play, we talked last time about what constitutes a comedy in Shakespeare. And by the end of this play, we have the order restored. Comedies move from disorder to order. So by the end, the order has been restored. Everyone knows who everyone else is. Everyone's good to go. The family has been reconciled. This is often a problem in the comedies, is that families are estranged. So by the end of this, the Dromios as brothers have been reconciled together. The Antipholuses as brothers have been reconciled together. The husband and wife Aegeon and his wife Emilia have been restored, and the Duke is happy with everybody. So we have the whole thing reconciled. The mistaken identities have been clarified. There's the happy ending for all, and there's even this hint that there could be, something going on between the Antipholus and Adriana's sister. So, maybe there's going to be another brother marry sister kind of thing there, because they seem to be happy together. So by the end, we've wrapped it all up. We've done all these things that made it a comedy for Shakespeare, and everybody's happy. Great play to see performed. Struggling with the language, I can understand that if you have not read a lot of Shakespeare, but always remember that Shakespeare was meant to be watched. And if you can see it, if you got a chance to watch some of the versions while you're reading, it clarifies things so much, because you can see the people having the conversations and see how they're moving and all that kind of thing, which is the point of course, the prompt book. Now, if you've looked at our page, which you probably did to get to this, you can see that all I want you to do this week is finish the play and then finish your prompt book. And remember that in that you get to set that up. You get to think, how would they move around? What would they look like? What would the scene be set like? And so you're really putting yourself in the mind of the director of a Shakespearean play and creating what you would want to see on the stage. If you watched one of the versions, then you have an idea of the kinds of things we're talking about. If not, in your mind, think, how would his face look? How would he be moving? All those things. So this last thing to do, you can see on our coursework page what needs to be turned in. I think the revised poetry essay is due, if I don't have the date wrong on that. This prompt book is due, and then Thursday I'll be putting up the final exam, which you'll need to do by next Tuesday. And then, well, I'm sorry, I'll put that up on Friday. It will have 2 sections, and it will include some of the vocabulary from earlier. It won't, all of the vocabulary we've done won't be on it, but just review the vocabulary from past times. It'll be matching again. So review earlier vocabulary. There will be more, since I'm going to include some from each section, and then there will be an essay question. So those are the 2 parts. The final, it will not be as complicated, because I'm going to have an essay question instead of a play. The plays don't lend themselves to the same kinds of questions we asked on earlier unit exams. So this is basically the unit exam and a final exam together, and it will cover the vocabulary will cover some of both, and the essay question will also involve. I'll put 3 choices of essay questions on there, and you'll pick the one you want to answer. So that's what's going on, and this is probably the last time I'll talk to you. So it's been great having you in class, and I hope you enjoy your summer.